the impact that working together like that makes on your children. Like our daughter is 4.5, and she's very much in tune with what's going on in mommy and daddy's like work life and life outside of being a mom. Like she understands that now. Like she asks me all the time, like, do you have a meeting at Fit Body Boot Camp? Like, can I go to Fit Body with you? I promise I'll sit on the couch. I won't get on the floor. Like she understands what's going on.
Yeah.
And so when she sees us like not getting along and like not communicating well, she picks up on that. And that is like a hard pill to swallow. Like if we're having, a quarrel in front of her, like you feel bad as a parent. And so it's very important to be on the same page at all times. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Scale podcast. I am Mary Katherine, your host, and today we have a very special guest. This is my sweet hubby, Trevor Stahl. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I am so happy to be here.
Welcome to our studio. I had to pull a few teeth to get him to sit at this table with me today. I'm just kidding. But we are talking about some really fun stuff that Trevor and I just seem to talk about a lot. And it's about making sure that you know like what you value in your relationship and in your family to determine like what's most important and like what you should be spending your time on. And then also, we love creating themes of the year, words of the year, themes for the month. And right now, our theme for the new year is presence. And it's important now more than ever before because we have two little ones. We have Sophia, who's 4.5, Stone, who's almost 2, which I cannot believe that. And we have just found ourselves in this season of life where we look at each other a lot and say like, okay, we got to focus right now on being mom and dad. They need us right now in this moment. And we have to kind of leave everything else going on in our lives on the back burner in that time. And so we've had to get very laser focused on being present in the moment when we're working and then when we're parenting and then also just in our relationship.
Yeah, I mean, when you asked me to come on, you said, what can you bring to the podcast? And I came up with 5 ways to create alignment with your spouse. So I think it'll be a value of everyone listening and can't wait to talk about it.
Awesome. And alignment is like the theme of the year with Fit Body Boot Camp as well. So this is perfect. Just creating alignment as a brand and again, in your relationships and your business, making sure that everybody is on the same page, which you're going to talk about today. So
that's correct.
Let's dive on in. So 5 ways to create alignment with your spouse in all areas. So work, business, just like your relationships.
Yeah. So the first one I think is communication. Communication in a relationship is key, and you have to have that open communication and always be communicating with your spouse, partner, whatever it might be, even business partner. So
yeah, communication is something that you have to continuously work on. And I think that we've done a good job. Many years ago when we started our Fit Body Bootcamp journey together, Trevor and I were working together like all the time. And I think we're probably working together more now than we were back then. But
I'd agree.
We used to butt heads over like who was doing what. And so we started our list system, and we're really good about that. So we have like my list, so mom's list, dad's list, so Trevor's list, and then we have like a family list that we come up with usually every night before bedtime. Like after the kids go to bed, we sit down and we spend a few minutes like just figuring out what do we have going on the next day. And then also like how can we support one another? And this has been like so beneficial in our relationship and just like our productivity in the last year, wouldn't you say? Like,
right.
I mean, it hasn't always been sunshine and rainbows and hasn't been easy, but
yeah, I'm a big list person, so I always like to know what I'm doing or need to do for the next day. So I always ask, what are a few things you need from me? Top 3 things, and I get those done. The earlier I can get them done during the day, it gives me more time to spend in the afternoon with the kids. So just preparing for that next day is key. And then also, we talk about communication. I think listening is equally important. As you're communicating, you got to listen to what your spouse is saying to you as well.
Right. And, I'll get a little deep with our audience. There was somewhat of a level of resentment that I had, not necessarily with Trevor, but just kind of like in our relationship with the kids and then running the businesses together. I used to feel like I had all the weight on my shoulders. Like I needed to be doing everything because that's just how my mind works. Like I have all of these things going on and I'm creating these mental lists in my mind. And about, I would say like a year and a half ago, I became much better at communicating to Trevor what I needed from him, like what was most important right now and how could he support me. And I think if you're just carrying around all of that on your own and you're not communicating that to your significant other, it makes it almost impossible for you guys to work together as a team, even if you don't have businesses together. Like if you don't know what you need from me, then you hold on to that like level of resentment, like, oh, I wish he would just help me, when in reality, I wasn't even communicating to him what I needed. And it could be as simple as like, I needed him to pick Sophia up from school because I had a meeting and I wasn't going to be able to make it work. Or I needed toilet paper and I felt like I needed to go get it, but he in reality could go get it. So don't you agree? It's like,
I feel like I'm in trouble over here. Man.
Well, I mean, it's hard. Like as a mom, you feel like you need to do all of the things.
Right.
And that's a toxic trait of moms. And that's like something that unfortunately you really can't control, is you just want to do everything on your own. And so just asking for your spouse to support you in communicating what you need has helped a lot in our relationship.
And I think that's a good segue into the point number 2, is determining clear roles and responsibilities with your spouse. Who's going to be, doing the dishes, who's going to be giving baths at night, who's going to be taking out the garbage, etc. Definitely creating those clear expectations with your spouse is key as well.
Yes, definitely. And I think that our role as parents, as business owners, it changes daily sometimes. So I am the community manager for HQ now. A lot of the team that I work with is on the West Coast. So my meetings might be late in the afternoon, which is when our kids need to be picked up, when they have after school activities, when dinner needs to be made. And so on those days, Trevor knows like, okay, tag, I'm doing these things while MK has a meeting, but then the next night the roles may flip.
Right. Yeah.
So I think just, setting those boundaries and setting the expectations, like you said, helps, and communicating at all times.
And those roles and responsibilities, they evolve. When we first started our businesses, we didn't have any kids. And now that we have kids and parenthood, raising a family brings immense joy, but also challenges as well. And so setting those boundaries, prioritizing responsibilities, finding, the balance that works for both of you is key. Regular communication, and then also celebrating each other, celebrating the joys of, and the milestones that you have, and just making sure that everyone is seen and heard.
And also, we can't forget to mention the impact that working together like that makes on your children. Like our daughter is 4.5, and she's very much in tune with what's going on in mommy and daddy's like work life and life outside of being a mom. Like she understands that now. Like she asks me all the time, like, do you have a meeting at Fit Body Boot Camp? Like, can I go to Fit Body with you? I promise I'll sit on the couch. I won't get on the floor. Like she understands what's going on. Yeah. And so when she sees us like not getting along and like not communicating well, she picks up on that. And that is like a hard pill to swallow. Like if we're having, a quarrel in front of her, like you feel bad as a parent. And so it's very important to be on the same page at all times. Yeah.
And most things in life are caught, not taught. So they're always watching, always seeing what you're doing. So you have to, show them, the behaviors that you want them to exhibit as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, number 3, I think, is defining your shared values and goals in life with your spouse. So
that's a deep one.
Very deep. You got to identify goals and values that are, with alignment, and you got to work together to define what's important to both of you and support your spouse. So I think that's very important, and definitely one of the top 5 ways to create alignment with your spouse.
Yeah, I think like in work, like the work-life balance and supporting one another like in our individual ambitions, but then also together, like those are two different conversations. Like when we first started our Fit Body journey, Fit Body was very much my thing. And I started as a client at Fit Body. It evolved into opening up my own location. Of course, Trevor was there to support me, but he was working full-time in physical therapy. And then over the years, as we grew our businesses and grew our family at the same time, he started stepping in more, getting more involved in the marketing and the operations on the back end, which he truly enjoys. But now we share that ambition for Fit Body together, whereas before we didn't. And so we kind of had to support each other on different levels. Like I was supporting his career, he was supporting mine. But now in our role as parents as well, like it's hard at times. Like we kind of have to have like a timeout sometimes. Like, okay, is what we're about to take on going to serve us as a family, individually, as a couple? Like we have to evaluate all of those areas when we're looking like at our work ambition and what we want to do next.
Right. Yeah. And it goes along with defining those roles and responsibilities. Same thing in business. We have our separate areas of zones of genius, if you will. And, you stick with the finance stuff. I stick more with the marketing. And then it's also important to collaborate on certain things, ask for advice of, what do you think is best here or there? And, collaboration as well.
Yeah, and we used to butt heads much more
Oh,
back in back in the day where it was like we were both trying to do the same things all the time. And I think that just takes time as like a small business owner, like as you evolve in your role as a leader and you get more experience, like over time you realize, okay, these are the things I'm good at. These are the things my spouse is good at. Let's divide and conquer, because ultimately we're working towards the same goal together. We don't need to be working on the same things all the time.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And then, being present with each other, but also knowing what each other wants for the future. You have your goals for the future, I have mine. Also, shared goals and our vision, for our family is definitely important as well.
Yeah. And I think too, breaking that down even further, having like your 1 year goals or 3 year or 5 year or 10 year, like there are some goals that we're still like trying to convince one another, like, hey, don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do that?
The idea fairy over there.
Yeah, that's one of my things.
But yeah, definitely supporting, her aspirations. I have aspirations as well, and you just have to, support and ask them, how can I help?
Right.
How can I help you reach that goal? How can I help you, get to that dream?
Right. And I think too, for our listeners, it all ties, like sharing your values and your goals with your spouse ties back into that communication piece to make sure that, if you're in a job right now where you're not happy, or if you're in just any sort of situation right now where you're just not feeling joy, whether it's a job or in your role as a mom, like being a stay-at-home mom, for those listeners that are stay-at-home moms, that can be incredibly isolating. And I do have a little bit of experience with that, because in my first year of being a mom with Sophia, she did stay home with me, and I would work like early morning shifts at the gym or late evening shifts at the gym, and that's how I would make it work. But that can be so isolating if you're at home by yourself and your husband is leaving every day to go into work, and you're all alone. Like if you're not feeling happy, you need to communicate that to your spouse and figure out like, what's the plan for the future? How can we get out of this situation? Right. And it all ties back into that. Like, what do you value, and communicating that to your significant other.
Yeah. And then you hit on the 10-year, 5-year, 1-year plan. You gotta have that goal, that's so far in the future, that a big dream that, you might not hit, but even if you hit 75% of it, you're going to be, doing pretty well. But also working backwards. So if you have a 5-year goal, what do you need to do for 3 years? What do you need to do in 1 year? And then also, what do you got to do this month? So, and then just constantly checking in that you're on track, with your progress with those goals as well.
Right. Well, and I think too, what's so surprising when we think about our journey together as like a couple and then as business partners, what we wanted 5 years ago has changed so much. And just looking back, like we thought, let's open up 10 fit body boot camps. And now as parents of 2 young children, and we're not sure if we're done, expanding our family, we realize like it's challenging to be present in, a bunch of locations and then present as a parent. And so we had to sit down and get quiet for a second and figure out like, okay, what do we really want here? And so sometimes those goals and your plans for the future, they may change, they may evolve.
Yeah. I mean, that entrepreneurial journey kind of, does a
it's like
nice up and down,
right.
big peaks, big valleys, and
then
you
some
just
low
have to
moments.
you just have to push through and focus on that. That's why it's important to have that goal, because you know what the goal is for the future. You might go down a little bit, but you know that you're going to get there. So
right.
Another thing is working on obviously we're in the health and wellness space, so health and fitness. Incorporating, with your spouse, incorporating healthy habits into our daily routine, our weekly routines, even with our kids, trying to get them involved with that as well, I think is important for alignment within the family. And I know we like to have monthly challenges. It doesn't have to be fitness related, but some of those fun things I think help, with your spouse. You have that accountability partner, and you got to make it fun.
Right. Yeah. So like in January, we did a dry January. I was very proud of us. We did it. Good job.
Good job.
Last year we did run 100 miles in 1 month. And at first I was like, that's easy because I love to run. No, that's hard because there were days where we wouldn't have the time to do it. So then the next day you had to run like 6 miles because it comes out to around 3 miles every day for 30 days or a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it was like 5K a day.
Yeah, 5K a day. And so I remember there was one Saturday where I did like 9.5 miles. I didn't run the whole thing, of course. I just walked on the treadmill. But that was a fun challenge. We should do that one again.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of like little mini challenges together.
Fun ones. It could be, drinking half your body weight in ounces of water a day. You could train for, a Spartan race or one of those endurance races. Those are always fun.
Oh, one challenge that Trevor challenged me to was, this one was not fun, and I don't think I really completed it, but tracking how much money I spent every day. Which brings us to like our next point that you have for us.
That I was going to say, these challenges help strengthen your relationship. I don't know about talking about finances. We'll get you there, but
you have to talk about it.
Definitely that you have to talk about finances to have a healthy relationship and alignment in the relationship as well. So, it's a common source of conflict in many relationships.
Yeah, definitely. And something that we adopted about 4 years ago now. So in one of our mastermind meetings years and years ago, someone presented on the concept of profit first. And I read the book, and it's a great system for business owners, but also it's a great system in your finances with your family. So essentially you have multiple bank accounts. So we started with 5 bank accounts, and you divide your money every single time you get paid. So whether you get paid in a business or, just payday from your normal W-2 job, you transfer money over to these accounts based on what you need to be saving money for. So like in our business, we have taxes, we have payroll, operational costs, owners pay, so the pay that we get, and then also a savings, emergency fund. And by doing that, when we started that was how we actually bought our second Fit Body Bootcamp location. I was not seeing how much money I was just leaving in accounts, just sitting there, until I started doing Profit First. And when I started doing Profit First, I realized how quickly I could save and make sure that I was good in all areas. The first year in business, the first year we were ever open in Fit Body Bootcamp, I was 25 years old, had no business experience at all. I did not save any money for taxes, and I got a nice $18,000 bill from the IRS, and that was not fun. And so it was like shortly after that when I started doing Profit First, and that helps so much. But we do that with our family too. I mean, we don't have so many accounts, but we try to forecast for the future, like what we have coming up. Maybe it's a big vacation, and start just putting portions aside every time we get paid for different things. And that's what I like about it too, is that those certain percentages in each account, whether you get $1,000 that month or $10,000, the equal amount of percentages go into that account. There's no gray area. You can't argue, no, we need more here, because it's a certain percentage of each deposit that you get. Definitely. And I think too, going like to the relationship side of this and how you can create alignment with your spouse and with your finances is make sure that you're not going out making extreme purchases and you're one of those people that's joking saying like, oh, my husband's not going to find out about this. Like, I have done that just to be funny, but in reality, like, you know what I buy, I know what you buy. Like, there's no secrets there. We've had a joint bank account since before we were even married. Like,
Right.
we do everything together. And so I think if you're hiding something from your significant other, there might be a problem.
Yeah. Well, you might need to go on another date, which
Yeah.
leads me into point number 5 of alignment with your spouse is you got to date your spouse. You got to do fun things together, try new activities, but spending time together is definitely important for nurturing your relationship.
Oh, yeah. And we make a great point of doing date nights. We have a few awesome babysitters on rotation that our kids love, and we plan ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more into the date night than that scheduled date night. But not only that, but taking weekend getaways is important for your mental health, your physical health, and coming back rested and recharged to get into the gauntlet of the kiddos.
Definitely, and I think too, as business partners, like we spend a lot of time together during the day, but it's very like focused on work and things that are moving the needle in our business. When we go out on a date, we try to relax and talk about other things besides just work. Because, I mean, there are negative parts of owning a business together, and we don't want to be talking about that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be anything expensive. It could be, there's a book out there, I can't remember the name, that gives you the fun activities
Oh, the
to
Adventure
do.
Challenge.
The Adventure Challenge. Those are all, free things that you could do and just brings joy to your life and fun nights or days that the challenges give you. And I think another cool thing to see is, Facebook, it brings up the memories. So last year's, date nights, whatever, start to pop up in your memories, and you're kind of revisiting and bonding over those, experiences and memories that you have.
Definitely, yeah.
What's your favorite date night that we've had?
Favorite date night?
Yeah.
I mean, I like going out with our friends. So we have a few close couples that we go out with pretty often that have kids, and we have friends that don't have kids, like a group of friends that don't have kids that we're really close to, and then we have a group of friends that do. And when we go out with the friends that do, it tends to be so much fun because we're just sharing all of these great stories. And as parents, a lot of times these things are happening to you in your life that you think like you're the only one dealing with these problems, and then you sit down and talk to your friends that have kids as well, and you're just like swapping funny stories back and forth.
Everyone can relate,
Yeah. So I think just going to dinner with friends, some of my favorite dates are day dates that we have together, like lunch dates where we go for a walk.
Right. Yeah.
That to me is
sauna, cold plunge,
Yeah.
cryotherapy. Those are all fun. That they're centered around health and wellness, but they're fun for date nights as well.
Yeah, we recently went to a cryotherapy center. What else did they have? Cryotherapy, compression therapy, infrared.
Yeah.
A few other things. We took our team there from Blacksburg Fit Body, and that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I think everybody loved that because it was different.
It was a good team bonding activity as well.
Yeah. I think the days of going out and, getting drinks and stuff all day, they're almost a thing of the past now. Now we're like going to wellness centers.
Moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. Oh gosh, now you have me thinking. Like some of our favorite dates, going to the spa, getting a facial.
Anything that's relaxation, I think
anything.
is a top in our list. And I think it's important, all these experiences and date nights, expressing your love for your spouse. One of the things that my grandfather always did to my grandmother is he'd tell you I love you every single day. I think he told me before he passed away to say that to my wife every day. So I make a point to tell you that I love you, every single day, and be kind.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's very important, and your appreciation, with kids and families, you can't do it alone, and you definitely couldn't do it without you. So I think showing my appreciation for you and is very, very important as well.
Well, I feel very loved right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I love those 5 ways to create alignment with your spouse, and I think that these areas can all be applied to not just your spouse, but any relationship that you're in, even talking to your team. If you have a business, like if you want to take this and adapt this concept to your business as well. But one question I love to leave all of our listeners with before we go is, this is Beyond the Scale. We talk about everything: health, fitness, nutrition, mindset. And what does beyond the scale mean to you? What does living beyond the scale mean to you?
That is a great question. And I think keeping on the topic of fives, I think the five F's of any relationship is your faith, your family, your fitness, your finances, and your friends. And I think if you can really dial in, you might not have all of those together, but you take your weakest point and maybe you make that a little bit stronger, so that all five of those can eventually be strong. So you keep your circle of friends, your tight, close-knit friends. You're going to church on Sundays. You have, family bonding time. You keep the finances in order, and you were not having conflict. There's no black or white there. And then just friends, and keeping the friends close and hanging out with them as well. So, and fitness as well. We went over a lot of different things that we do to keep our fitness and keeping it fun and having those little monthly challenges. So I think Beyond the Scale is all five of those F-bombs, as we call it.
Yeah. Awesome. And one thing too we didn't really touch on that I just want to leave our listeners with is, like, you and I are on the same page with our health and fitness when it comes to, like, I have to have my time to work out and you have to have your time to work out, because we know that we will be a better parent, we will be a better spouse, a better human if we get our workout in. And especially on the weekends, that's challenging with the kiddos at home, and we let each other have that time. So, like, I'll say, okay, I'm going to go work out for 30 minutes, even if it's just in the basement, or maybe it's at Fit Body and one of the kids come with me, and then Trevor has his time. So we allow each other that freedom, which works really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I know I got incredible value with sitting here with my significant other, and if you did as well, please comment in the comment section with your biggest takeaway from today's episode. Where can our listeners find you?
Oh, the good old Facebook or Instagram, Trevor Stahl. So those
Awesome.
are the two ways. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Trevor, for joining us today on another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast.
Thank you for having me. I couldn't think of any better person to sit next to and talk to.
Thanks.